That's Randy, isn't it? That's what I thought. Randy, come on up, Randy. We just have to have it for the hearing information. Go right ahead. Give us your name and address, and we'll start it.
My name is Randy Anderson, 14580 Midway, Nampa. I'm speaking as a concerned citizen. I'm not a member of any of the historical societies, but I enjoy all of them. Most people don't know that if it were not for Fred Hallberg's vision several years ago, there would not be a steam crane in Nampa. A lot of people don't even care what a steam crane is. I do, because I worked in the maintenance end when they still use that. Of course, it's been antiquated, but it sits in the museum. Prior to the economy going bad, a lot of this stuff was scrapped. Money needed to go elsewhere, but we still have that. That's neat. That's not the only thing. Most people don't know that the only operating turntable within the Northwest District, other than Roseville, California, is in Nampa, still working. The only one.
Randy, could you face us and?
Oh, I thought you guys were just listening.
No, well, we're trying to.
I thought I was preaching to the choir. Huh?
No, they'll hear you.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's neat. Now, you can't go down there, but you can still see it in operation. The only one other than Roseville, California, that's still functioning. Now, as a concerned citizen, the historical people have some wonderful activities down here. The last one with the Civil War reenactment, as well as the cars, antique cars and stuff. So I called up my family from Meridian, and they came over to visit. We had a wonderful time. Actually, I spent more money than I should have, but we had a wonderful time. And I hate to see that all of these pictures in here are history. Yesterday was history. We don't need to forget that. We need to remember it and learn from it. I know everything has to be tweaked because the economy's gone bad. However, did you know prior to the economy going bad, Nampa, little old Nampa, second largest city in the state of Idaho, was the largest BP capital trains run out of there in the world. Nobody was second to Nampa. BP means distributive power. Those are the ones with 3 or 4 on the head end, maybe 4 in the middle, 1 in the rear. The other place was Texas. I'm not familiar with what's going on down there. Since the economy went bad, they had to tweak things. Now it runs out of Pocatello. They fill them. Those are 5,000-gallon tanks, plus right up to the neck, and they'll run into Hinkle, Oregon on fumes, but they made it work. Kind of what we have to do with the economy now. But that's history. All of everything I've said is history, but it's important, not only for the old-timers, but for the young people as well. And I think you guys are doing a good job, and I'm not saying that just to get next to you, but that's all I have to say. And I was afraid to do this, but my wife hit me in the ribs and says, do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. See, I had a question for him, but I'm not sure that I want to ask it. All right, anyone else? Okay, go right ahead.
Okay, just as some comment. First and foremost, we love history. And probably the greatest advocate the Historical Society has, and I am a member, I only give you $15 because that's all you ask for me to be a member. But I can pay more, I realize that. But I don't feel guilty because that's all you ask, is $15 to be a member. Commissioner Ferdinand is a devoted member to the Historical Society, and I feel almost insulted when people come and make it appear that we don't care about history. That is not the case here. There's a small amount of money, and I realize that. It's $90,000. You know, I went back and I listened to a budget hearing in 2005 when they were doing the budget for 2006. And the Historical Society had come in. Basically, most of the same people who are your leadership right now on your board talked about wanting to get the museum here in Caldwell. And their request was $250,000. One time, just one time, $250,000, so they could have our Memories Museum. Well, there wasn't $250,000 at that time, I'm sure, to give. So I don't know how the commissioners decided to do it, but there was $50,000 every year, right up until I came on board, and then I knew that. Then I had heard that that was paying a mortgage, $50,000 of it, and we reduced the budget to $90,000, which I am not sure how it got clear to $90,000 because when it started prior to buying the building, your budget was $48,000. So it's not a matter of not caring. I think the taxpayers of Canyon County have gone out of their way recognizing the talent of you people and your volunteers, because no museum stays open because of employees. Museums stay open because of volunteers, and I realize that, and I compliment you for doing that, and that is wonderful. But that is a museum paid by the taxpayers of Canyon County, but it's owned by you, not the county. And so, and taxpayers need to realize that we have given you an opportunity to bring on board another museum. I listened to that tape, and nowhere in there did anybody say, now what's your plan? How do you keep it open? I know Mr. Gable said, we're going to be able to keep this open more than once a week, because that's all the owners who had it in a trust at that time could do that. And he says, we will keep it open longer than that. But there wasn't any plan as to how we're going to do that and how are we going to financially do it. The museum was $200,000. There was $50,000 to fix it up, ADA, so that people could come in with wheelchairs and so it'd be accessible. So when you talk about getting rid of history and not preserving history, that's not what this is about. And if we talk about expanding, you look at this list in 1997. This is $1,070,000 since 1997. $1,000 went to Old Fort Boise in all that time. And they've been successful as a museum and keeping it together. And some of the most successful museums in Canyon County are privately owned. The Swain Museum down in Melba is amazing. Down on Ferry, if you haven't been to the Ferry Bridge, it is the most fantastic museum. But it's not open to the public. It's a private, and you have to make arrangements. But it's wonderful. Preserving history matters. It's all over this room, and I think these pictures are here because of you and preserving that. I really appreciate that, and because of Commissioner Ferdinand, because he really cares about history. We get a history class all the time, and if you want to talk trains, there you go. He's good at that too. He loves the trains. We love the depot. And you know what? In 2005, Commissioner Beebe is saying on the tape, where is Nampa? Where is the city of Nampa with this depot? Why are they not supporting you? And I asked that question today. How many years later, where are our cities? It's beneficial to have these museums in our cities. They need to be supported as well as the county. And it's time for them to step up. The $300,000 roof, it's in urban renewal. I think you need to start begging and going and saying, we need this because it's beneficial. It's economically beneficial to the city of Nampa and to the economy of Nampa to have that train depot there. So I think you can do it. I think the Historical Society are brilliant people. You're very, very smart. You can figure out some ways. The city of Roy in Utah had a museum that was failing because they couldn't have enough money. One of the things they did was put a check off on the city water and sewer so that, you know, some month when you got an extra $10, you put it in and the money goes to the museum. I mean, there are some things that maybe we need to think outside of the box. How do we get some other type of funding that we can keep these museums up and going? We have battled back and forth as to this funding. In fact, we shut the door because we heard the recorder was on and we didn't want people hearing us. But seriously, as commissioners, we have battled as to how do we use this funding and what do we do. And I'm happy that Middleton is stepping up and saying, we have this facility and we want it for our people. I didn't know if I wanted to fund it as much as Commissioner Rule did, but that's his city. And I will tell you right now that if the Grange wanted to walk out the door in Melba and they needed an opportunity to have some money, I would support that coming from Melba and say, you know what, this is a good thing for our city. They had their centennial a week or so ago. They turned the Grange into a one-day museum. It was fantastic. It was all about Melba. It was great. Every city should have something that talks about their city. But you know what? I appreciate the city of Middleton getting involved, the city of Wilder getting involved, the city of Notice getting involved. Where is Nampa and Caldwell? I care about history. We all care about history. Please do not think for 1 minute that we don't. But I also know you people can do it. We can get creative. If you want a curator in the county and you want it to be a county employee that's over all museums, bring us some ideas. Help us do this so it works for everybody. That's not this year, but for another year. But bring us your ideas right away so that we can talk about what do we really need to keep our museums going and functioning. How does Warhawk, Warhawk Museum, that's an amazing museum. How does it work? It doesn't get money from us. So I just have those questions, and I want you to know we care. Okay.
Commissioner, any comments?
I'll be brief.
Your 3 minutes is up.
It's not easy to take criticism as any leader, but you better not run for public office unless you have a thick skin. And maybe mine's not as thick as it should be, but nonetheless, I am extremely excited about the opportunity for Middleton, the oldest city, to possibly get a museum started. I'm encouraged in my research. I've learned that thousands of museums operate without public tax dollars across this nation. That backs up what Commissioner Elder says. It can be done. I do appreciate Mr. Elder's comments, and I think, in the future, we may benefit from a county-wide historical program as opposed to separate groups. But cities have stepped up, expressed interest, and that means something to this commissioner. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.